Hello there. Today I'm taking a look at a wine from Ridge Vineyards. This is their 2019 Lytton Estate Petite Sirah. Ridge, it's probably not surprising to hear, was founded originally in the Santa Cruz Mountains, right at the top of the mountains, hence the name. When Italian Dr. Ossi Perrone bought an estate, planted vineyards, built a winery, and that became Monte Bello. Monte Bello fell into disrepair, disuse. There were attempts to revive the vineyard in the 1940s, at which stage Cabernet Sauvignon was planted there. But then in the 1960s, a group of 4 engineering graduates from Stanford joined together to buy the winery, and I think originally more as sort of a holiday home than anything else. They tasted some Cabernet Sauvignon that they'd made from these fantastic mature vines at Monte Bello and decided that actually they should take the winemaking a little more seriously. In the late 1960s, they hired a winemaker called Paul Draper, and Draper, very skilled winemaker, very quickly established a very sympathetic approach to utilising the high quality fruit that he was able to obtain, and the winery rapidly built a reputation for making both the Cabernet Sauvignon at Monte Bello and also Zinfandel-based wines mostly from vineyards north of the Bay Area, north of San Francisco in Sonoma County. Lytton Estates is one of those vineyards. They started producing a wine from Lytton Estates in 1972 and were able to buy the vineyard in 1991. The estate has some wonderful old vines. In fact, the oldest Petite Sirah vines come from 1901, and there's been regular replanting. I mean, the youngest is from 2008. But up until 2002, all the Petite Sirah from the vineyard would go into the Lytton Springs Zinfandel bottling. However, in 2002, they decided to separate this out, and a portion of it now becomes this wine. Ridge's winemaking approach is to be both sustainable and organic. They refer to their philosophy as sort of pre-industrial winemaking. They don't like to overwork the fruit. All the fermentations and the malolactic conversions are done using indigenous yeasts and bacteria. Picking is by hand. Fruit is very gently handled. They try and produce the highest quality fruit in the vineyard in the first place. And aging is done entirely in air-dried American oak. So American oak barrels, but made in the way that high-quality French oak barrels would be. So not imparting enormous vanilla flavours, as is sometimes the case with American oak. As I say, picking is entirely done by hand. For this wine, the berries are left whole so that they slowly split as the fermentation continues, allowing quite soft extraction. The pips aren't readily exposed to alcohol during fermentation. There's a gentle regime, there's a once daily pump over, and maceration goes on for just 10 days before the wine's pressed. Aging takes place for 16 months. As I say, they're using air-dried American oak. 25% of the barrels used to age this wine are new, a further 20% are 1-year-old, 15% are 2-year-old, 15% more are 3-year-old, 15% more are 4-year-old, and the balance is 5-year-old. The wine completes malolactic conversion using naturally occurring bacteria. So to look at the wine, first thing to say is it's a dense, dark colour. I mean, that is practically opaque. I can't really see through that. As I swirl it, the wine has 14.3% alcohol, and it's quite readily forming tears on the side of the glass. Looking at it, it has a slightly purple rim. It's got a black-red core. It's not losing a lot of colour intensity to the rim. It's not vividly blue-purple, but there's a red-purple note to the rim. Let's have a look at the aromas, shall we? See what we make of those. The aromas are powerful and heady. There's almost a sort of a dark, ripe cherry, ripe to overripe. Notes of dark black plum, damson, bullace, that sort of note. But also a more savoury sort of touch, more towards a black olive sort of hint as well. There are slight hints of cedary oak, but they're very well integrated and they sit behind the ripe fruit. So let's have a taste, shall we? That's heady, rich and full. Petite Sirah or Durif tends to make these darkly coloured, well-structured, rich, ripe, quite alcoholic styles of wine. And yes, there's a richness, there's a warmth, there's a jamminess to the fruit. It's making me think of black cherries, of ripe, jammy plum. There are hints of sort of chocolatiness, not just in the flavour, but in the texture. Maybe a tiny touch of coffee, maybe that's a little bit of the spice and drying note from the oak. The tannins are plentiful, but they're very supple. There's a nice rounded nature to the wine. There's not an astringent drying note on the back palate. There's a little dryness, but it's not tooth-suckingly so. So there's a rich, heady, ripe fruit carries on after the warmth of the alcohol on the back palate. There's almost a sort of I suppose a licoricey sort of concentration. As the flavours are finishing on my back palate, there are touches of sort of red to black fruit along the lines of sort of Loganberry, mulberry, that sort of note. The acidity is fresh and it's keeping the fruit fresh and juicy, but it's not standing out particularly as being sharp. This is a wine with great concentration, lovely youthful nature at the moment. I would be very happy to keep that for 5 or 6 years, probably longer. Yes, I think that's a beautifully balanced wine. Nothing standing out particularly. The textures are harmonious, the flavours are harmonious, they're lasting well. That intensity, it's a powerful, assured wine, but it's not a blockbuster. And the flavours are lasting very well. So yes, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you'll consider subscribing to our channel and following us in the future. Do please feel free to like and share the video. Do also please leave your comments. I'd love to know what you think either about the wines, the videos that we're making, or other experiences you've had with these wines. Most importantly though, I hope you've enjoyed the experience of watching the tasting enough to make sure that you join us again for another tasting very soon. Goodbye.